Journey to the West, an audio drama series. Chapter 22, Part 2. The following morning, Sanzang asked, Wukong, what is the plan for today? Xingzhe answered, No plan. We just have to get Bajie back in the water today. Bajie complained, Big brother, you just want to stay clean, so you keep sending me into the water. Xingzhe said, My wise younger brother, I won't be impatient this time. I will let you lure him on shore before I block the riverbank so he can't turn back. We will certainly capture him then. Splendid Bajie! He wiped his face and heightened his spirits before taking his rake with both hands and arriving at the riverbank. He found his way into the water and once again came down to the nest. The monster was just waking when suddenly he heard someone pushing through the water. He quickly turned around and opened his eyes to look, only to find Bajie coming down with his rake. So the monster jumped out and blocked him up front, shouting, Hold on, watch my staff. Bajie held up his rake in defense and said, What kind of funeral staff is this? How dare you tell your ancestor to watch your staff? The monster said, You wretch have no idea. My treasure staff is of great fame, for it was made from a tree on the moon. Gold filled its core, while pearls and jade decorated its outside. It can subdue monsters, and because I was appointed general that the Jade Emperor gifted to me. Its length and shape will change any way I want, and it was present on a number of important occasions. This is a divine weapon with magical nature, not some mortal tool you can find in the human world. Ever since I was banished from heaven, it has traveled far and wide. I shall not bluff, but the spears and knives of this world are of no match. Just look at that rusty rake of yours, which is only good for some hoeing and ploughing. Bajie sneered. Damn, you unruly creature asking for a beating. Forget about ploughing. I fear that once it hurts you and you don't have anywhere to get ointment, all 9 holes will bleed together. Even if it doesn't kill you, it shall leave you with a permanent case of infection. The monster stretched its arms and fought with Bajie underwater before coming up to the surface again. This battle was unlike the one before. Look at them. The treasure staff swung and the rake struck. Not on speaking terms, they certainly weren't from the same family. Neck and neck, again and again, the waves tumbled and turned without a moment of peace. How could this anger ever subside? And how could this humiliation ever be swallowed? This one was keen to drag things on shore, the other just wanted to snatch and drown. Like thunder it shook fishes and dragons, and by darkening the skies it awed gods and ghosts. This battle went back and forth for 30 rounds, but no one was coming on top. Bajie once again feigned defeat and dragged his rake as he ran. The monster did follow again and climbed the waves until he was by the cliff. Bajie shouted, Damn you unruly monster, you come up here. It's easier to fight higher up here with our feet on stony ground. The monster retorted, You wretch just wanted to trick me into going up there, so you could call your helper again. You come down here and we'll continue the fight in the water. It turned out that the monster had learned his lesson and was refusing to go on shore again, insisting on only having a shouting match with Bajie by the riverbank. We speak of Xingzhe, who saw the monster refusing to come on shore. Impatient and anxious at the situation, he couldn't help but want to snatch the monster right there. He said, Master, sit down here by yourself. Let me do a hungry eagle snatching its prey with him. He then somersaulted into mid-air and swooped down to catch the monster. The monster was still bickering with Bajie when suddenly he caught the sound of wind. Hurriedly turning around, he saw it was Xingzhe descending from the clouds, so he once again withdrew his staff before diving head down into the water, disappearing without a trace. Xingzhe stood on the bank and said to Bajie, Oh, brother, the monster is getting slicker now. If he won't come on shore again, what are we to do? Bajie said, It would be difficult, very difficult. I just can't beat him. Even if I used the same power and strength I had as a nursing child to draw milk, I could only manage a tie. Xingzhe said, Let's just go see Master. The two again went up to higher ground and saw the Tang monk. They detailed the difficulty of capturing the monster. The elder cried tears before asking, If it is so difficult, how are we ever going to cross the river? Xingzhe said, Don't you worry, master. The monster dived deep into the water, so it's hard for him to actually move around. 八戒, stay here and guard, master. Do not fight him again. Let Elder Sun have a trip to the South Sea. 八戒 asked, Oh, big brother, what are you doing going to the South Sea? 行者 answered, This whole scripture-seeking business was started by Guan Yin Bodhisattva. It was also Guan Yin Bodhisattva who released us from our suffering. Now that we are stopped from going on our way by the flowing sand river and unable to move forward, how are we going to solve the problem without her? Let me go get her. It would be better than fighting this monster. 八戒 said, You're right, very right. Elder brother, when you go, do deliver a message on my behalf and tell her I am very grateful for her instructions from earlier. 三藏 said, 悟空, if you are going to invite Bodhisattva over, then hesitate no more. Go now and come back soon. So Xingzhou unleashed his somersault cloud and went straight for the South Sea. Whoa, it didn't even take half a 时辰 before the mountainous realm of Podolak was in sight. Within moments, he dropped from the somersault and arrived outside the purple bamboo grove. The 24 divine guardians approached and asked, Great sage, what brought you here? Xingzhou answered, My master is in trouble. I came specifically to pay a visit to Bodhisattva. The divine guardians answered, Please have a seat and allow us to report inside. The divine guardian on duty that day then went straight into the entrance to the cave of Tidal Beat and reported, Sun Wukong requests your audience about some matters. Bodhisattva was accompanied by a dragon girl in charge of keeping her pearls as they enjoyed the blossoms over the fence by the treasure lotus pool. Once she heard the news, she turned back to her cave and opened the gates for the guests to enter. The great sage thereby readied his appearance and solemnly paid his respect. Bodhisattva asked, Why aren't you guarding the Tang monk? What brought you here to see me again? Xingzhou reported above. Bodhisattva, my master was at Old Gao village where he accepted another disciple named Zhu Bajie. Thank you, Bodhisattva, for granting him the religious name of Wu Neng. We recently passed through the Yellow Wind Valley before arriving at the flowing sand river, which is 800 li across. With its endless body of weak water, it was already difficult for master to cross. On top of that, there is a monster in the river who has some extraordinary skills. Thankfully, Wu Neng managed to fight him thrice on the water, but he could not overpower him. So he's blocking us and keeping us from crossing. That's why I came to let you know, Bodhisattva. Please spare some mercy and help master cross somehow. Bodhisattva said, You monkey are so full of yourself that you once again refused to mention you are protecting the Tang monk, didn't you? Xingzhou explained, We just wanted to capture him so he can send my master across the river. I don't know the underwater business that well. It was only Wu Neng who found his nest and talked to him. I assume he never mentioned the whole scripture-seeking thing. Bodhisattva said, That monster in the flowing sand river is the great curtain-raising general who came down to the mortal world. He is also a faithful convert, and someone I instructed to safeguard the scripture-seeking process. If you had been willing to say that you are a scripture-seeker from the land of the East, then he certainly would have stopped fighting you and guaranteed submission. Xingzhou asked, The monster is too scared to fight now and refuses to come on shore. How do we make him submit to my master? How are we going to cross those weak waters? Bodhisattva then called for Hui An before taking out a red gourd and instructing, Take this gourd and go with Sun Wukong to the flowing sand river. Just say the name Wu Jing and he will come out. Bring him to submit to the Tang monk first. Then tie those 9 skulls of his on one string and line them up according to the 9 divisions of the sky. Place the gourd in the middle and it will become a Buddhist vessel acting as a boat to take the Tang monk across the flowing sand river. Hui An took in her words and vowed to obey his master's orders. He immediately held the gourd and exited the cave of Tidal Beat with the great sage. By religious edict, they thereby left the purple bamboo grove. The pair soon descended from clouds and arrived at the bank of the flowing sand river. Zhu Bajie recognized it was Mu Cha the laborer, so he brought his master over to welcome them. After Mu Cha exchanged greetings with San Zang, he came to Bajie, who said, I owe a great deal to your instructions, Venerable One, that brought me to Bodhisattva. This old boar indeed followed religious orders and has now happily entered the Buddhist religion. We've been very busy on the journey, which was why I never managed to thank you in person. Apologies. Xingzhou interrupted, Not a good time to catch up. Let's go get him out. San Zang asked, What do you mean? Xingzhe explained. Elder Sun saw Bodhisattva and told her everything that took place. She said this monster of the flowing sand river is the great curtain-raising general who came down to the mortal world. It's only because he committed crimes in heaven that he was banished to this river, losing his original form and becoming a monster. He was once converted by Bodhisattva and expressed willingness to follow Master's way to West Heaven. But we never mentioned anything about seeking scriptures, resulting in these bitter fights. Bodhisattva has now sent Mu Cha to use this gourd to construct a Buddhist vessel with that creature so you can get across. Sanzang heard his explanation and was immensely grateful. He gestured to Mu Cha and said, I beseech the Venerable One to take quick action. Mu Cha thereby held the gourd in place. Half on cloud and half through mist, he came straight above the flowing sand river before calling loudly. Wu Jing, the scripture seeker has been waiting here for a long time. Why aren't you submitting yet? We speak of the monster who was fearful of the Monkey King. He returned underwater and was just resting in his nest when he heard someone call him by his religious name. He knew it was Guanyin Bodhisattva. Then he heard the voice say that the scripture seeker was there. No longer afraid of axes and blades, he hurriedly flicked the waves and stuck his head out. He recognized it was Mu Cha the laborer calling him. Look at him, going up to greet Mu Cha, smiling ear to ear. He said, Venerable One, I apologize for the belated welcome. Where is Bodhisattva? Mu Cha answered, My master is not here. She instructed me to come tell you that it's time to become a disciple of the Tang monk. She told me to use those skulls that hang on your neck and this gourd to construct a Buddhist vessel according to the 9 divisions of the sky. That way, he can cross these weak waters. Wu Jing asked, And where is this scripture seeker? Mu Cha pointed and said, Isn't he right there sitting on the east bank? Wu Jing saw Ba Jie and said, He's just a wretched creature coming out of nowhere. We've been fighting for 2 whole days already. When has he ever mentioned a word about seeking scriptures? He then saw Xingzhe and said, That one right there is his helper. He's quite the formidable one. I'm not going. Mu Cha explained, That is Zhu Bajie, and this is Sun Xingzhe. They're both the Tang monk's disciples, and both were converted by Bodhisattva. What are you afraid of? Let me go with you to see the Tang monk. Only then did Wu Jing withdraw his treasure staff and tidy his shirt made of yellow brocade. Jumping on shore, he knelt down on both knees before Sanzang, saying, Master, this disciple has eyes but no pupils. I fail to recognize the respectable face of my master. I sincerely apologize for the repeated offenses. Please forgive me. Ba Jie complained, You coward! Why not submit earlier and keep fighting me? What do you have to say about that? Xingzhe laughed and said, Brother, don't you blame him. It's only because we never mentioned anything about seeking scriptures or our names. The elder asked, Are you truly sincere in your conversion to my religion? Wu Jing said, This disciple has long been blessed by Bodhisattva's teachings. She used the river to assign a last name for me and gave me a religious name too. It is Sha Wu Jing. How can I not obey you, master? Sanzang said, If that's the case. He then added, Wukong, bring me a shaving knife so I can shave his hair for him. The great sage followed his words and handed over a knife to give the monster's head a shave. Afterwards, the monster prostrated to Sanzang before doing the same to Xingzhe and Ba Jie. The 3 lined themselves up according to their ranks. Sanzang saw his manners and found them very much like that of a monk. So he named him Sha He Shang, with He Shang meaning a male Buddhist monk. He will be known as the Sha monk from now on. Mu Cha then said, Now that you have embraced your faith, there is no need for further delay. Let's go make this Buddhist vessel. Wu Jing dared not slack, so he immediately took off the skulls hanging on his neck. He then tied them up with a string according to the 9 divisions of the sky, and placed Bodhisattva's gourd in the middle before asking his master to come offshore. The elder then embarked on the Buddhist vessel and sat on top of it. It was indeed stable like a very light boat. On the left there was Ba Jie guarding, and on the right there was Wu Jing on alert. Behind him there was Sun Xingzhe pulling the dragon horse, following amidst cloud and mist. Above him there was also Mu Cha keeping them safe. Only then did the master calmly cross the flowing sand river as if he was floating on air, pass a weak river without disturbance from waves or wind. The trip was indeed swift like an arrow. It didn't take long before they were on the other side and away from violent waves. No mud or water got on their clothes, and they were delighted to have dry hands and feet, clean with nothing to worry about. Master and disciples stepped on solid ground before Mucha landed his auspicious cloud and retrieved the gourd. Then they saw those skulls suddenly transform into 9 green gusts of wind as they disappeared without a sound. Sanzang bowed and thanked Mucha before also paying respect to Bodhisattva. Then Mucha returned straight away to the East Oceans, while Sanzang mounted a horse heading west. We do not know when they will finally find the true fruit and scriptures. Please wait until the next chapter.